In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. It is said that in the beginning was an infinite void. That infinite void can best be personified in our dimension of thought by water. And so we pour the water. And in the midst of this void, a supreme intellect, a supreme maturity brought forth more words and manifested light. The words were, "Let there be light." And there was light. And soon there were other words of the earth to separate the waters. And because we share all of the elements of the earth, we can too call ourselves earth. Greetings and welcome to another step in the journey, another brick in the building of our sacred space. Welcome to the build. As you can see today, we are in the midst of some technical, some physical, and maybe even perhaps some emotional difficulties, which is what we will be speaking about today. Today, we are going to address divinity and the challenges therein to prove divinity. But before we do, I will bring forth Brother Eli as he will bring our initial announcements. Blessings.
Blessings. Can you hear me now? Brother Michael, can you hear me? I'm talking. Can you hear me? Okay. Well, the beginning of a beautiful, amazing day. The words we are expressing freely are not meant to offend anyone, or our words are not meant to be in any competition with anyone else's wisdom. Your wisdom and understanding is yours alone. We are choosing to remain consecrated while being.
My apologies, Brother Eli. We cannot hear you.
Let's check on the can you check? Let me check on the thing real quick. Hold on, let me check. It's my phone is
Still
working.
cannot. I'm trying to unmute your microphone. Let's see if we can hear you now.
I was going to play the
Oh,
playback,
let's figure this out.
and the playback is kind of frozen. The playback is frozen, brother Mike. Yes. 1 2 1 2. Mine's is working over here.
I still cannot hear you. However, it
I
seems that our viewers,
I can hear, yeah, can hear me
I'm not
clearly.
sure why.
Yeah, I
In
can
any
hear
event,
you.
please continue.
Yeah, I can hear you. All right, we're gonna roll. Um, but back to the burning bush. As we continue to go with the flow of the elevated life force that will continue to grow and grow gradually through love and consistency. If you haven't heard before, but I think you heard it before, the words we are expressing freely are not meant to offend anyone. Our words are not meant to be in any competition with anyone else's wisdom. Your wisdom and understanding is yours alone. We are choosing to remain consecrated while being in the furnace of affliction, the burning bush. We will also like to put into our words of wisdom is abundance, love, and satisfaction because we all need abundance on all levels at all times. Conquering ignorance is essential. Nobody is born wise, and a person has to make serious efforts to develop the qualities needed to be able to speak and achieve mayat without falling into the twin traps of vanity and greed. Also, in the ancient Kemetic book of Two Ways, it says that the causes of wrongdoing are ignorance and immaturity. Most importantly, however, is the fact that the Kemites were aware of one's ability to live a Maashin life and that the goal of they as a society work towards. So that's my little introduction. And yes, brother Mike, I can hear you, but you may not hear me. But I think everybody can hear us in the background. Blessings.
Blessings. Today is going to be a live action true test of the divinity that we attempt in this means to bring forth into this sacred space. There was a statement made over the past week or so that Brother Eli had witnessed that spoke about divinity being tested through struggle. However, we have many great examples of divinity that, under the protective barrier of their faith, of their temple, of the sacred space that they have provided for them has shielded them from much struggle. Struggles of the world opposing them. Struggles of their health limiting them. We see these, we witness these examples. Nuns who have professed at a young age with the prerequisite of no less than 6 years of dedication that would manifest into 12, 24, 50, up to 86 years of day after day of prayer and worship and song and meditation, that being the only sound that is uttered from their body, which they have under that consecration of affliction, have professed their body would be that temple for that purpose only. And then you have the ones that get all of the attention, no matter what book it is written in, no matter what faith practice is professed. The ones who came from troubled places or were indeed troubled people who were in some way redeemed. We have heard of these stories. We have read these stories time and time and time again. But what of the stories of those lifelong dedication and simple life? Why do they not get a shining light upon them so that we, the people, can see proof of that divinity? Some would say it's because it is boring. It is repetitive. It is so monotonous that it would not have any value to a person who endures struggle. There are people who would easily say they would take the advice of someone who has been through something and endured, rather than someone who endureth only their own repetition and have not had opposition head on. The saints, sinners paradigm is what I call it. That the only way some people would listen to a saint is if they were seen to be a sinner first. There are many definitions of teacher. But as scholars, we must fully understand that we can learn how to and how to not do any and everything from any and everyone. For all of us are teaching something. But for whatever reason, those boring stories do not get their glory. Yet, I and Eli the burning bush seek out those supposed boring stories because their steadfastness intrigues us and gives inspiration to continue on our journey. Those who are witnessing what we are enduring right now in the world today, do you not know that there are places on the other ends of the earth who do not know of these first world problems, of these third world struggles, that their entire life is dedicated to being a pillar of the temple and nothing more. And yet it is their choice to do so. And because they choose this steadfastness, they are looked upon by the eyes of God as true dedicators of their life to their faith. Why is it that we must have a struggle? Why is it that we must have a tough way, a hard way, a tumultuous ordeal to believe someone and their knowledge from endurance? I myself have once at least said the same thing, that if I am listening to someone that is teaching me something about enduring, I need to see what their endurance is. Is this just our human nature? Is this our natural way of testing our strength? Is there a way above this meaning, this thinking, this intellect, that it can be celebrated, the simple life? I wonder this. I ponder this now as I right now am enduring. To look at my countenance now, to see the flushing of my body. I am enduring a sickness in the midst of technical difficulties, physical difficulties, which then triangulate and narrow down on the emotional difficulties, the time that it takes to make your muscles move, to do the work that we do. It takes more intention than it ever has when you're well. But before I pass on this speaking to Brother Eli, I have a question. If faith, if dedication, as we are to be the brides of God, if it means that we are to go through sickness and in health, good times and bad times, richer and poor, until death, in the human sense, does that not also equate to our love to God? I wish to be corrected if I'm wrong, but this is a vow that I've made. I'd like to know your thoughts.
Blessings. Can you hear me now? Still can't hear me? Brother Mike, you still can't hear me? Okay, okay, okay. Um, let's see. I would like to say this. When we look at life, there are so many instructions to follow. There are so many unexpected things that can happen, even if we follow such instructions. There are so many levels to existence itself, at least the part we can perceive. I know illness is something that can produce a struggle for most of us. And I think that I just wish we understood why we went through such illness, because a lot of times we do ask the question about illnesses, even unexpected illnesses. There's so many unexpected things in this world. And that's why when I don't, okay. And that is why when we're talking about boring, when we look at excitement compared to what is boring, I remember I had a friend, he was a very nice friend, who lived with his grandfather. And all he did was work and go home. Actually, we both applied for this particular job and he got the job. I had another friend who worked, didn't necessarily go out with us on the weekends or other days during school. His life was perceived by young people to be boring. But I've noticed whenever we may have experienced something like if someone's car got towed away or just something happened, that most people will have to go to the person who were considered boring for help. That's why it says the ancient book of two ways we suffer from ignorance and immaturity. Most people are so immature. Their continence is so beneath wisdom. It is a shame because life had allowed us to see video, create this thing called a video camera to record human actions. And when we watch those who are considered the exciting ones, therein or their life produces many struggles, struggles that most people cannot handle, let alone repair the damage that they created due to their immaturity or impatience. It is a mountain full, a pyramid size full of stuff that humans go through due to not appreciating stability and consistency. Let's go to the sun, moon, stars, and galaxies. Now, when you look at a person who was not intelligent, say for instance, it can be a person who is 7 years old. This 7 year old being is reading a book on um, life. Let's say he's reading a book on dirt. Now, 7 year old just reading a book on dirt is like, well, he picked up the dirt, it got his clothes dirty, and I had to wash it. Well, I got in trouble because I put the dirt inside on the floor inside the house. Closed book. Now, if that same 7 year old study dirt, and now that 7 year old is 47 years old, so he's been studying that dirt for 40 years. The type of knowledge he will have for that same subject or that same dirt will be incredible compared to a 7 year old who may just see dirt. Now, he can say, well, this dirt is the cobalt that can produce the black for cell phones. So it's not necessarily dirt. So only an immature being will consider anything boring, because even those who collect rocks on a consistent basis will get the opportunity to go on a deeper level. Life itself is like fractals. When you look at video footage on YouTube of fractals, it look like the same image, but the deeper you go, it repeats itself. But it's limitless, because every aspect of existence carries limitless information. Like when they took a photo of the sky or looking at cavemen, they at nighttime looking at the stars as cavemen. They said, oh, look at the stars. Yes, I'm just a caveman. So I prefer to look at the fire on the ground because I am just a caveman and have a caveman understanding, because the fire on the ground is more exciting than look at the fire in the sky. Caveman. So let's look at a scientist who may have telescopes, things that travel into outer space. Let them look at that same point in the sky as that caveman did, because they apply maybe 20,000 years looking at that star, that same light, 20,000 years later. So now we have contraptions to support our curiosity because we were consistent on something that was considered boring, but we gave it more attention, we gave it more time to the subject. So when you look at life itself, you look at people who do not have enough respect for the learning process, that is so deplorable, because the only way that we are allowed to learn as a human is through repetition. If I don't continue to say A for apple, the child cannot go into A for apple. So repetition and consistency on reality will lead to something more greater. And that is why they said those who don't master anything don't master nothing. It's a saying, a person that 1,000, y'all understand the saying. So this particular space is for individuals who are mature. Let me explain. Most of you people who are not obtaining high level of wisdom will look at consistency and stability as something boring. Yet, all of existence maintains its purpose or perspective due to being consistent and stable. So, I explained to Brother Mike some time ago that you had the immature ones will go after the flamboyant things in life. They will accumulate a lot of bad karma. They will have so much regret to deal with that they cannot handle on their deathbed. So, this particular space is to have those who want to have an easier, older life. When you say that, yes, I didn't go to that party, but I maintain staying home reading a book or practicing piano. So when you're in your 60s and 70s and 80s, the things or the people who went to that party may have done some things or witnessed some things that they might not like in their 80s or 60s. So the person that was born and stable don't have those memories nor that bad karma they may have accumulated because they were minding their business. Mind your business, I teach the two gentlemen, is not as the world perceives because this world is always negative. Mind your business from our perspective is like digging gold or digging something that takes time to dig. You mind it and you take your time to mind it. You build on it, which takes time, even building muscle. Everything that is appreciated takes time, and you must be persistent and focus on that idea to receive the glory of the idea. So, if individuals are not equipped to know where things are leading them, which is a very comfortable older life when it comes to memory and karma, and you don't have as much bad or a lot of guilt because you made a lot of bad decisions because you was around a bunch of people who just want to do a lot of exciting things, not respect the ramification of their actions, who love to look back and says, oh, I am so sorry. Even the sorry cannot take back the pain or the destruction that the person made because they were not wise enough to deal with the situation. Cool. So again, I am to the point and I am to the level of wisdom to understand that if you're going to do anything that I'm involved in, number one, you're going to have the ability to be 60, 70, and 80 and says, man, this was good. This was positive. Because when you listen to a teenager, which they think is the things they think is exciting, when that teenager is 50, 60 years old, they will not think those so-called exciting things to be exciting. But let me tell you this, if that 13-year-old was playing the piano, reading books in the library, studying the boring things of life, when they're 50, 60, and 70, I guarantee they appreciate because life will produce something for them that they will appreciate when they get more wisdom compared to children who want to go outside, have a bicycle gang, go do some rumple dump stuff here, rumple dump stuff there. They don't get straight A's in school and stuff like that. They don't have the same experience when they're in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. They're playing catch up because, like I teach the two gentlemen, worry about your retirement. Now they're 12 and 13, and I'm focused on their retirement. So if they do something at 12 and 13 and focus on retirement, by the time they're 40, 50, and 60, do you think they're going to have to play catch up when it comes to financial things? No, because they did boring things like study math, study how to balance their budget, their books. Like if they gain a certain amount of income, if they spend something, they know the responsibility how to save a percentage of that money, which is boring to young people or certain people. They want to spend and spend and spend and spend. So they learn how to be responsible for the not the present self because they're pretty young, but their older self. So anything that is not truly understood would be considered boring. But find anybody on the earth and just tell them to say, okay, this may not be good for your consciousness now, but just give it some time. Look a little more each day, and I guarantee you will find something very interesting in that particular subject that you thought was boring. Like math, people think it's boring because it's hard in the beginning, but soon as they catch on to it, it becomes fun. So, just like a baby, I have yet to find a baby to want to give up on walking just because they fell 10 or 20 times. They continue to get up and they continue to get better. And that's the processes of a life. Now, those again, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess that consistency, stability, and the acquisition of knowledge is God, period. And if you do not know that now, just give yourself a little more time on this earth and all the things that is perceived not interesting and things of that nature, you will be guaranteed to go and do research on these things, or you may have to ask somebody on these things. I don't know where Brother Michael went because I was ready to conclude on that part because you can tell by the pattern of my talk. Okay. So again, let me get back to this. Let me give more examples. Now, I remember they had some people who were praying a lot. Brother Mike, can you hear me now? Okay. I was trying to conclude up, but it's all recorded. But the one thing that I was basically explaining is about um prayer and about, as we spoke before, doing things that is not understood today will be a benefit for your being tomorrow. Because as we know, you do not want to do things that will accumulate bad karma, or you have a lot of guilt when you in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. So if your life is considered boring today just because you want to play an instrument, just because you want to pray in church, just because you want to do math, all these things, or go to the library on the weekend instead of partying and studying finances, all these things, when you get to an older age, compared to going to the club, not doing your homework, compared to hanging out with your friends, compared to just gossiping, compared to going to the movie theaters, watching negative movies, compared to just wasting money, all that type of things. Because as the two gentlemen, they are young, but they learning about how to, if they get money, put some money to aside first and then go spend a little bit. For a young person, this may seem boring. It may not be considerate, but I guarantee if a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old learn about, not just care about, they don't have to care about it, but they have to do it. If they save a certain percentage of their income and spend the rest by the time they get older, I guarantee they'll appreciate something that young people will not consider to do. So that's my part, Brother Michael, is that when people say something is boring, they lack the wisdom of anything of consequence in the real world. Because even if you look at dirt for 40 years, you'll discover something amazing. And if you look at ants or rocks for 30, 40 some years, they will reveal more deeper things of themselves compared to somebody just walk by a little old rock.
Endurance. I have endured being technically denied some divine understanding on behalf of Brother Eli. For the last 20 minutes, I was not audible on this end. However, um, I'm glad that those who were able to stay here with us was able to hear everything. However, one of the things that I have learned when it comes to the struggle of hearing, the struggle of sight, of any sense, the other senses are heightened. They are compensatory devices. And I could not read every word, but I did get the intent in which Brother Eli had presented his piece. And that the idea of something being boring, or the idea of a person saying that that person needs to, quote unquote, live a little. In our understanding, that's actually saying they want to die a little. Shawshank Redemption is a great film that I remember seeing. It was way deeper than breaking out of a prison. Many different layers. And there's one line that stays with me all these years. He said, "Get busy living or get busy dying." That's right. So how many of those out there are so busy dying? And how many of us in sacred spaces like this one here are too busy living to put death onto our eyes or into our ears or out of our mouths and cursing tongues to others, to people? No matter how their divinity has been challenged or not. Because we are not here to judge. One of the things that I've come to realize in regards to repetition is something happens to the psyche after a while, and it indeed starts to look deeper into the action that is being completed and finds more meaning in it, if given the opportunity. Whereas some would stay in just the act and go into autopilot, which is the opposite of being mindful. But in mindfulness, it starts to pay attention to all of the details and find splendor in those details, in the complication of the world being infinitely large and infinitely small. To see what the life of an ant actually is, how it converses with its brother ants, how it gets things done in spite of all struggle. It takes a keen eye to pay attention that much. And that's the reason why we're here. We're a keen eye and open ears and mouths that will speak fact more than philosophy, because we pay attention to the evidence. It's interesting how the nerds, the geeks, the goody two-shoes, when they get a certain age and they shed out of their acne-filled skin and they have riches for their intellect's sake and have their reward and treated just as conservative as they did when they were learning that this was even obtainable. How much more alluring they are to those who wish to corrupt them. And yet, they remember, being steadfast, that in the beginning, when I was in need of companionship, there were certain people who I could seek out and find. And I'll remember those people when I am up here. The burning bush is just that. We are doing things that most other people in their sacred spaces, whether we deem them sacred or not, might see as boring, might see as too simple, might see as too repetitive. But we know that the reward will be one day having to face God and to be able to say, we in this existence did as little harm to the world that we ever could. And because of that, our heart and that feather on that scale of reaching Ma'at is our reward. But we must be careful, for there has always been a recurring phrase: no, Negro, you get your heaven when you die. But our answer is, does it not say on earth as it is in heaven? To give us this day our daily bread, and forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Thine means mine. Mine as in I own this experience. I have made the choice in this experience to not do the exciting thing, to not do the dangerous thing, but to do and dare a mighty thing that is simple in a complicated world, so that I may make sure that my heart is light. I pray that whoever sees this broadcast, if they have heavy hearts and they are praying for their God to create in them a clean heart, a new heart, that once it is clean, they would take upon themselves the simple life, and that we will meet them there with the same weight of a lightened heart, while still here on earth. May our heaven be here.
I remember they said, let me see if I can find it. Um, let's see. When I was a child, let's see. Because one thing that human beings they are very inadequate when it comes to anything meaningful. We got 1 Corinthians 13 and 11. When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, the thoughts as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Let me see. Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali quote 50 years. If you live 50 years. Um, doing the same thing as a younger person. Let me get the exact quote. Because again, it says, get thy understanding, but all things get wisdom. Um, it says, this is Muhammad Ali, the man who views the world at 50, the same as he did as at 20, has wasted 30 years of his life. So we have to think about the reality of the world. I remember when you had the I can't remember the name, the term, but it was ruffians, you know. They were in the church, these ruffians saying that the old Christian spirituals were boring. We need to bring in the young people. I just remember that in the 80s and 90s. The church was so emphatic about trying to capture the young people, as if the young people were something to capture. He said, the church says we need to capture the young people, because remember, we evidence based on if we learn from lessons of the past, we're not going to do the same thing in the present because that's insanity if you do the same thing expecting different results. So I remember the young people were so unwise, of course, didn't have no insight of 20, 30 years down the road, not qualified to do nothing but just talk. They were rumbling at the mouth, these ruffians in church, and then the Christian church started going after the young people. They started rapping, doing all this hip hop stuff and all this kind of stuff. Now look at the church today. The church today is literally the club. You cannot tell the two. So that's the evidence listening to unwise beings who haven't lived long enough to do anything responsible. Let's look at technology. You have a technology in the world that is not complete. They will create something they put on the market. Let's use the technology as like plastic. Let's use plastic as an example. They did not say, let's see how plastic will affect the entirety of the planet in 50 years. They just said, ooh, this is a good product. Let's go make some money. And let's get everybody, because it's cheap to make. Let's just give plastic. They just start going crazy. They started making this thing called a big hole dump, like a city dump hole. They just bury. Just think about it. They buried trash. I'm just saying. I'm just, like I said, I'm too wise to be around some idiots, man. I'm just telling you. Because again, we got so much evidence. Let me say, okay, let's get back to these people who just wanted to rush. So we rushed into making plastics. Yet we didn't say or calculate how long this plastic will dissolve back into the earth. So you got monkey see, monkey do. So when one monkey started making plastics, the other person says, oh man, we can make more plastic. So it became a competition in making this thing called plastic. And then they said, well, we are just a bunch of monkeys on the earth and we lack intelligence and wisdom. We just want to do stuff because we're impatient. So as monkeys do, they are very impatient. Now, you want to know where the term monkey come from. Monkey come from higher beings who deal with humans who don't have the wisdom to live life on earth. I will go deeper into that term because every term I use, there's a purpose to it and there's a history to it. It's not being mean because when you go to the average person and says, well, you're ignorant to the subject, the average person says they'll get offended, even though the definition of the word ignorance means just lack the knowledge of. And again, human beings lack anything of quality until it's time to die. Then we want to then we want to appreciate quality forms of life, like family time, just chilling and just doing simple life. But anyway, so they start making all these contraptions that's made out of plastics. And then they start burying, start making holes in the earth to just push the trash and the plastics in the earth. Now just look at this. Look at this. Now, these same people, they will tell a child who may be not considerate, clean the house while I'm at work. This may be in the 50s or the 40s. Bobby, clean this house. Now, Bobby's in a rush because Bobby want to go outside and ride a bicycle with his friends. It's back in the 1950s. So Bobby would take the dirt and sweep it under the rug. Sweep, sweep, sweep. Now remember, the people that are making plastics, these are the adults. Now they will go home and judge little Johnny and says, Johnny, what are you doing? You sweeping the dirt under the rug because eventually we're going to notice the dirt under the rug because the rug is only so large in the room. Yet these same people are putting trash in the ground. Okay, so now let's move along with these people who don't want to have a complete science. What I mean by complete science is this. When you have God, God will say this, nature will say, okay, when I will produce something, there will be a complete cycle. Birth, rebirth. So if you have a seed, an apple seed, you will have all the technology you need right in that seed to produce an apple. So this seed have enough knowledge to go into the dirt. Now I used this example before because again, we don't get the wisdom of the simple things that is extremely complicated if you understood the facts thereon. So that's why you write books, because if you don't get it today, you go for that same book and get it tomorrow. At least it's available to you. So you put that same intelligence in the ground and then you put water and it grows. So nature says, I know things may want to eat that. Things that's other than soil that may want to eat an apple. Because if you put an apple on the ground, the soil will consume it for vitamins, the nutrients that it needs. So a human may want to eat this apple. So the human will take the vitamin and minerals and whatever that's in the dirt that the tree consumed that is in the apple. So we eat an apple. That's our first product. And then our final product is we poop. So we poop, which is our final product. Let's poop under the apple tree. So if we poop under the apple tree, the soil says, oh, we got some fresh poop, which is their stage one. It dissolves in the soil, and then a tree dissolves it, and then it produces an apple. So the poop, the soil stage two is an apple, and then we eat the apple. So it's a complete cycle when it comes to when you create things with wisdom. You don't have to watch over it. You don't have to mine it. It's there and it's consistent. So we produce these plastics in a rush. So God said, I will hand you over to a reprobate mind if you don't have wisdom. So we have people say, look, I need a plastic to cover to put my sandwich bags. My wife made a sandwich bag me for lunch. So I put the plastic, I put the sandwich inside the plastic. Or then you had back in the days lunch pails where kids had metal lunch pails and they start hitting other kids in the head and they're bleeding. So we're gonna make the lunch pail out of plastics. Or if you got a shoestring and we have the tip of the shoestring so you can put through the hole made out of plastics. So we start producing multiple things with this simple thing called plastics. Now in 2022, let's look at microplastics in the earth. Again, let's look at the evidence. So, of when you don't have enough patience, but you want to rush and do something. Microplastics pollution. Okay. Huh. So now we're looking at the results of creating something without the implication of seeing it through. Right now, I think it says that okay, let me go back. 2017, let's see. 2017, I think China 2017 on China stop accepting our garbage. Um Accepting US garbage. It's trash. Okay. So ending the cycle. If you're willing to look up, it said, I'm gonna look a little bit of article. Is Yale Environmental 360. This article says piling up how China's ban on importing waste has stalled global recycling. So now we're looking at even cities that is made from our junk, our trash. So it was a point that even China was willing to help to recycle our trash. Now, this is a different country, one country out of many. So we have a problem because microplastics are everywhere in everyone's body, eyesight. Everybody is walking around microplastics in them. And microplastics, we can't digest these microplastics. So you have to be aware or be warned by rushing into something. They always spoke about the shooting star dissolves fast. Now, mind you, I remember studying certain cultures. Let's use European Jewish cultures. You will go to an Orthodox Jewish home with a husband and wife and maybe 6 children. None of those 6 children never saw a TV. None of those 6 children be indulged in anything in that nature, video games and stuff like that. But you will see hundreds of books. Now, these children that don't know anything about a TV or cell phones for the most part, let's see what happened to them when they get older. Let's see how life treat those children who are not trained to be addicted to something that is proven to be addictive. So a child will sit by a Hebrew child who may know multiple languages and may read on a college level, and he's probably in the fifth grade reading on a college level and doing math. So you got both of those children, and you put those two children out in the world. We can guarantee while the other child is boring because he was trained by his parents to love reading and the acquisition of being creative while reading, compared to the other child may want to play sports, may eat the candy and junk food and have these birthday parties and these Halloween things. Remember, Jewish culture, while they send fools into the world to party on Saturday, they said, God still said that's a 7 day. So while y'all partying, we gonna be fasting and praying. I gave you a key because we got the evidence of who was successful and who was not. Because God's laws does not change. So you got a bunch of children who do not do partying and having fun on video games and all this fun, exciting things, going to sporting events, boxing, and all this kind of stuff. They be with their brothers and sisters learning how to create things from scratch while they can play an instrument and they can read on a college level while in the fifth grade. So as you can see, those who might be trained, because you're only trained to what you think is exciting and what is not exciting. Because those who had parents who homeschooled, and the only world they know is the house and the books they had to read, a new book may be exciting for them. I mean, I have the evidence of it myself. A young gentleman, he want to grab a book because he was trained to grab a book, compared to say, look, Johnny, sit in front of the TV while I go do something for myself. So your understanding of what is exciting is trainable. So you don't even have a sense that your mind has been corrupted because of laziness and ignorance. You have so many other children in the world whose parents want them to play an instrument, and they're around other children who are exciting on playing instruments. So your education, your processes of thought were conditioned. Even the months when the mother is pregnant, with your growing mind inside of her, what is she doing? What do she thinks are exciting and what is not exciting? So you are born in sin. That's what that is. Because you come out corrupted when it comes to being responsible in a world who hates those who are not responsible. Think about that. So I'm going to end on that note. Whatever you perceive as exciting was programmed in you, because you cannot see any baby on earth who do not adapt to its environment. I know farmers who love milking cows because and they produce competition of milking cows. They throw horseshoes. That's not boring to them because they were trained to perceive what was exciting and what's not exciting. So there you go. Look at what you think is exciting and look at those who made you believe that is exciting compared to those who learn how to code computers at 5 and 7 and 8 years old, who sit behind a computer learning how to code. And by the time they're teenagers, a little older, let's see how life have them create other things. Or they can be little hackers compared to those who throw a football or go to a party and learn how to dance. Because especially little black babies, we know how to move and dance. But look how the world treats the two. Who will appreciate their life better if they maintain those disciplines of moving and shaking and moving the booty and the body, or the person that's learning how to play the instrument, or maybe learn how to do martial arts, or maybe doing math and architecture or something? How are they going to look at themselves when they're in their 60s? Will one have a nice retirement? Or would you see? So there's many levels to what is real in the real world. And if you are a person that likes to cause trouble as a young person, how are you going to call yourself and what you going to call yourself when you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s? I did some silly things. I did some regrettable things compared to someone who practiced the violin. They will not say they did some silly things practicing the violin or doing some mathematics or maybe doing push-ups or maybe taking care of their grandmother while their friends played outside. Maybe they said, oh man, I want to play outside, but their grandmother is sick. How you think that 60-year-old who took care of their grandmother while they wanted to play outside with their friends, how would they look back on their life when they need to look back on their life? When they're at the stage in their life, they have to sit in the bed and they prefer to take a nap than to go outside. How would they reflect on how they spent their time on earth? Where they said, oh man, I was so boring because I took care of my sick grandmother when she needed my help. And I was there when she was down on her deathbed, or compared to those who had to go make and chase money while their loved one was on their deathbed? Do your research. Everybody who chose to go chase the bag compared to attend or compared to be at their loved one's deathbed regretted that. Or look at those who says, I know I want to chase this, but I want to homeschool the children. Because you have a lot of people, their children looked at their parents work so hard, and then now, like when I used to volunteer for hospice, a lot of children are too busy to show up for them when they're older because they was not really taught how to love other humans. Materialism was the perceived things compared to humanism. And even when I was younger, we had people murdering people in their age group for over pullover jackets. When I was growing up, they had this thing called a pullover jacket, and had a little zipper, and people was murdering their friends over a pullover jacket. And some people says, well, when they were babies, they was given a plastic bottle instead of the mother's breast. So they saw value in the plastic more than the human breast. So it's a lot of things, that we can learn from the past, which I attempt to do because I don't like to look back on the things that I did as something bad or harmful. Because I'm telling you, you get to a certain age, even certain words gonna hurt. Now, when I was younger, I didn't like, what you mean just a word? But it's something about when you get older, certain things is like, oh, you don't want to say that. But when you're younger, you'll say it all day. So again, this space is allowing you to say, when I get to the certain age, I'm gonna look back and says, I appreciate who I was when I was younger, compared to somebody that says, man, I had all these mistakes because I was following the ruckus crowd. Because even the Bible, when you had, I think, Psalms, he was teaching his son this thing about that son, and he was talking about don't follow the blood people that blood who go after blood and all that kind of stuff. I relate because brother Mike need to go ahead and talk, but we are going to that little verse about what the father said to the son. Blessings.
Wow. I've always thought of rush as not one word, but four. An anagram. It's real unfortunate stuff happens when we do this. One of the things that people consider an adrenaline rush is a forced potency of dopamine. And some people see that as life risking events, surviving them on the skin of your teeth. That is an adrenaline rush. Um, Acts of imposing on your anger, impulsive actions, uh, in acting out on your anger, fighting, that's thought of as an adrenaline rush. Speeding, that's thought of as an adrenaline rush. Um, Sexual deviancies is considered an adrenaline rush. But the thing that happens with any adrenaline rush is over time, your body physically cannot take that much adrenaline at one time. It shuts down. It closes, literally closes the opening of taking that adrenaline through the bloodstream. That is what happens. You can find an addict, and the reason that they're going for a bigger high is because they're trying to find the rush that they got initially, the first time they took the drug, and they'll never achieve it. I doubt that healthy excitement comes as an addiction. I think that those farmers who play horseshoes will not one day have an extreme depression because they played a perfect game. I doubt that there will be someone who is milking their cow and out of nowhere, because they were able to do so eloquently and efficiently, that they will want to jump off of a building, because it's a healthy source of adrenaline. It's not a rush. It is in the taking of time and appreciation of patience. One of the things that we definitely need more sun to shine on is appreciation to patience. We do this in artwork, in temples that have amazing architecture that took forever to create by hand. That's the reason why those are sacred spaces. Appreciation to patience. Long suffering, when thought about in the Bible, if you were to talk to a person who was not wise of the Bible and its teachings, they would say that long suffering would equate to hurting for a long time or something painful physically. But all long suffering has ever meant is patience. We will wait. Growing of any crop to yield any harvest allows us to wait, to lie and wait for the guarantee of fruit to be brought forth and gleaned, harvested, and consumed. When it was written that we would not hunger anymore, nor shall we thirst, I deeply believe that it was because of this wisdom of waiting, of knowing that if I could take a bag of apples and comb out every seed and take the tilling of the land and make an orchard of apple trees, I would not hunger anymore. If I was to take water and save it from the rain for days of drought and place it onto these harvestings, knowing that fruit is actually eating water, that means I would not thirst anymore either. We would be creations of a harvest that we would never eat entirely. That cycle, that infinitum would last beyond us, a legacy passed on to generations, breaking the curse of hunger or thirst. Have you ever tried to watch a tree grow? Of course not. We don't have the time. But given the care and the patience to not dig it up, to watch it grow from underneath us, we are to be rewarded for that. The greatest dopamine that I believe any human being should be even capacitated to experience is the loving kindness of a fellow man. There are countries on the other end of the world where two men, unbeknownst of any sexual preference, can hold hands together and walk down city streets in brotherhood. I believe that that's a dopamine rush I never tire from. To be able to hug full on my fellow brother is something that I'd wait to receive and would wait again after receiving it in expectation that our friendship was worth it. The kiss of a woman in loving kindness and humility, not upon the lips, but upon the frontal lobe when you're ill, almost feels as if some of your sickness is transferred out from the area in which you're venerated. That's a rush for me that I've taken all this time to feel. If you have experienced that, then you know exactly what I mean. I know that there are young people who are watching, young people who might have watched from the beginning, young people who have learned that this social media can be skipped across and glanced upon the good parts. They might see this part as one of the good parts. Young people, I implore you to do and dare a mighty thing, to take your time. Because it really isn't your time at all. We are all on borrowed time, and it is something that we cannot pay back except in our works, in our human word, in our sacrifice. So that one behind us, one beneath us, can say, the one ahead of me, the one before me, placed this here for me. We are the new forefathers now. And though history will not read us through in any books, though it would not be written only if by our own hands, know that what you are witnessing right now is the beginning of a past that will become a legacy for you as proof that we took our time and we did not take that time for granted. Despite all powers against taking our time, telling us to rush. There's another Bible verse that I want to speak upon. I won't place it all because I feel like to rush it would undo everything that I'm saying right now. The race is not given to the swift, nor to the strong, but it's given to us who take our time. To everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. I hope that what you have seen in these buildings so far has given you enough inspiration, foundation even, to allow in yourselves a clean heart, to allow in yourselves time to be contemplated for every grain and grain of sand, so that you can take your time. For there is no microwave way to manifestation. Those are mere magic tricks, smoke and mirrors that are not worth the plastic that it's cased in. But true organic magic has always been light that has stood the test of time. Like this light right here. For the candle cannot complain against the darkness and the harshness. It instead emits itself, then admits to itself that it is everything that we need. It is the light, and we are that light. We will not blow out this candle away from us. We will take in its warmth. We will take in the manifestation of the passion that has seen control onto this wick as our own light, to show and prove that we are the same. We'll take this in. Without a shadow of a doubt, prove that we are not harmed. We will convene in just 30 seconds for our more opening up of our subject matter. But before we do, for those who are leaving now during our liturgical part of this build, many blessings be unto you and yours. All right. So now gloves come off, and though I might not have as much time as I would like, it is time for our after hours of the build. Welcome back, Brother Eli. I really appreciate the patience that's involved with overcoming these struggles that we've had. Uh, I cannot wait to see and hear what I did not hear during the live. But I know that one of the things about truth is it can be tested on all chords and it will still appear the same. And I am sure that whatever was said that I could not hear, I might have reiterated it without even needing to know it because we speak truth here at the Build. Very grateful for
Yes, sir. Brother Mike, one thing that we have to focus on. This is very, very important. When I hear you speak about if you go through a particular illness or you have a certain particular challenge, you have to remember they told us the sun is 93 million miles from the earth.
it. Mhm.
So if you had a chain from the earth to the sun, it'd be 93 million miles. But guess what? If one little piece breaks, the whole entire chain breaks.
Mhm.
And it's not kind to be around resources and not receive the benefit of the resources. So we
Mhm.
definitely going to have to deal with what type of challenges you deal with on the illness level. Because again, if one person hurts, the other person is hurt. That's what a community is.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
right.
so it's not a real community. Like the Bible says, you have some soup, give your family or neighbor half the soup.
Mhm.
So we definitely gonna have to figure out what is going on with these illnesses because again, it'd be a waste of your time if you're around something you can't find no answers or something that you need. It was two brothers I was speaking to today. He was saying that he gave bicycles for children to children of need and all this kind of stuff. And I sound like a motivational speaker. And could I come and speak? Because I told him, I've been doing stuff since I was a child. I'm tired. But I
Yeah.
explained to the brother in detail. I said, well, I do hear what you say, brother. You may give children bicycles and give them turkeys and all that kind of stuff. But what
Mhm.
I learned from the Million Man March, you can have all the good talk and you may can supply something temporarily. But if you don't give people resources to maintain the things that you put them on, you're wasting your time. So
Yeah.
yes, it's good to give a bicycle, but at the same time, that child got to be at home, dealing with situations. It's good to give them one meal a day,
Mhm.
to eat a good turkey. You see what I'm saying? So at the
Mhm.
Million Man March, it sounds very good. It was all good and glam, but the brothers didn't go back home to employment. They didn't go back home to opportunities. Therefore, they went back to the stuff they were trying to run from. So that's the thing
Mhm.
about it. We're not into. I'm serious. I am not into. You got to get yours when you die and go to heaven. I'm not. I'm into that. I'm over that slavery stuff. I need evidence now. You
Yeah.
know. But I did want to read
Brother Eli, I think you muted yourself. I can't unmute you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, but yeah, I said I wanted to read over these Bible verses, but I wanted to wait until you finish what you have to say. But I did want to give a full understanding with
Oh, yes,
wisdom.
please. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, yes, sir. Um, Proverbs 4.
Hmm.
Listen, my son, to a father's instructions. Pay attention and gain understanding. I give you sound learning, so do not forsake my teachings. When I was a boy in my father's house, still tender and an only child of my mother, he taught me and said, lay hold of my words with all your heart. Keep my commandments, and you will live.
Hmm.
Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget my words or sway from them. Do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Her love, and she will watch over you. Wisdom is supreme. Therefore, get wisdom. Though it costs all you have, get understanding. Esteem her, and she will exalt you. Embrace her, and she will honor you. She will set a garland of grace on your head and present you with a crown of splendor. Listen, my son, accept what I say, and the years of your life will be many. I guide you in the way of wisdom and lead you along a straight path. When you walk, your steps will not be hampered. When you run, you will not stumble. Hold on to instructions. Do not let them go. Guard it well, for it is your life. Here we go.
Hmm.
Talking about. Do not set foot on the path of the wicked or walk in the way of evil men. Avoid it. Do not travel on it. Turn from it and go on your way. So I'm gonna hold that point because when you are young, this adrenaline type of behavior is not pertaining wisdom. Give you an example. You have people who might have been a skateboarder when I was younger. A skateboarder had a lot of adrenaline rushes, yet they didn't have knee pads, elbow pads, nor they wore a helmet.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we have to ask the question, what did they need in order to have the concept or concern for knee pads, elbow pads, and helmets? It was time.
Yeah.
So they had the adrenaline rush because the ramps were high, yet they did not want the pain of
Yes.
not having these forms of protection.
Hmm.
So time and persistence will enable you to enjoy something longer
Hmm.
than you did in the past because falling 10 times on your head connecting the ground is a shorter lifetime of having a helmet on your head and still hitting that same ground.
Hmm.
So that's why the Bible speaks about wisdom and understanding, which is greater than knowledge and information.
Hmm.
Because you can have knowledge of a subject, but wisdom allow you to apply that knowledge to protect or exalt yourself. So that's just part one of that verse. So go
Hmm.
ahead, Brother Michael.
No, when you're talking about what you're talking about there in regards to time, it's it makes me think a lot about when I was younger, when I thought it wasn't cool to have helmet or pads. or any of these things. It wasn't cool. It was actually more alluring to be as dangerous as possible. And with these eyes and these joints, there's no way. I look at that youngster and say, "Oh, you young fool." But when I was that young child trying to tell me to put a helmet on, oh, I won't look cool in front of my friends, or putting those pads on, oh, that looks geeky, that doesn't look cool. Or even something like music, according to a lot of musicians, the decibels in which we receive in our ears, even when going to concerts, we should have earplugs. But we've always thought of that as, oh, it's not cool. It's supposed to be this loud. It's supposed to be. So the idea of having these extremes has become a young person's cool. But that's something that speeds through the enjoyment level for that child to point where they're in their 30s and 40s. They can't hear any of it now. They'll go deaf. We live in a world now where you have infants literally months old, and they can take your iPhone and start pressing buttons and will know exactly what they're doing because they're so used to their mothers and fathers giving them this, here, have this, and to shut them up. Long gone are the times where babies are kind of sung to and rocked, and that doesn't happen. And this is the first adrenaline rush. There are huge issues with being subject to adrenaline rushes at very, very young ages, like babies, right? ADHD is at an all-time high. But again, it's like you said earlier, it was trained. So we are literally in an experience now where babies are being trained to acquire attention deficit disorders because everything has to come so fast. When we were young, we had commercials in between television shows. Now they have 5 seconds to wait and they can skip an ad. I remember watching a television show at a certain time. Now I can get it on demand right when I want it. Remember that one television show where you would run home from school and you couldn't wait to see it because you knew it was only there at that one time of day. For me, it was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I used to love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but it would come on at 3:30. And I got home at 3 o'clock and I was like, okay, I promise I'm going to do all my homework after I watch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I have to watch it. I would rush home to go and see this, right? And I never got tired of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Fast forward. Still love the cartoon. On demand happened. So now it's not a rush of watching it. I can watch it whenever I want. And I would binge watch. Watch this. This is another addiction. I will binge watch a series or show like Netflix or whatever. And I'll get all of the stimuli that happen all at once. And I'll never want to watch it again. Why? Because I've already squoze the juice out of that experience. People do this in relationships. People do this to members of the opposite sex, to women, to men. They do this and squeeze and extract any and everything that they believe is worth that experience and then throw them away. These are not meant to be plastic relationships. These are supposed to be enduring ones. Through sickness and in health, for good, for richer, for poor. Yet, we'll take a relationship, we'll take electronics, and we'll do this. And then we're left, not even with the experiences, we're left with a guilt. Because I don't even remember it all. I can't even recall the favorite parts of it. I just know I did it all. I just know I watched it all. I just know I had it all. I just know I touched it all. I think that slowing down is just saying I'm going to pay more attention to every facet of this thing and appreciate it. You know, I've always told I'm supposed to chew my food 29 times. And I remember my mother counting for me. She would sit and watch me count how many times I chew. And the second that I got my own space or I got my own, I would just stuff my face, right? And I would completely not even remember what I ate because there was such a rush of eating everything. Rushes are single-serving fast food approaches towards life. No matter how healthy it was supposed to be, you contaminated it by rushing it. You contaminate it when you rush it. For example, an apple. Okay? Granny Smith's apple. If I am indeed chewing my food slowly, mastication is how we metabolize our food, chewing. If we take a couple bites and swallow it all, inside our gastrointestinal tract, it does not recognize all these big chunks. In order to get it to recognize, more of our stomach acid has to excrete inside of our intestines in order to build it down fast enough. The problem is it's already in our intestinal tract, which means we don't get a chance to really absorb the nutrients. We can speed ourselves out of absorption of essential nutrients because we rush. And that's just food. What about the conversations that we had with our parents? What about the times where we knew we were doing something wrong and our parental figure was giving us a story about their life that was significant towards telling the moral of the story about doing these things wrong? And we didn't pay attention to that. We just waited for our time to speak and then rushed through our. Is that accumulation of knowledge? Is that accumulation of wisdom? Of course not. It's interesting how being slow to anger has you gain so much wisdom. Because there are certain things that we won't take the wrong way when we pay attention to every word. Speaking of the Bible and Proverbs, and every single proverb, especially Proverbs 4, but every single proverb, these are lessons. All of them are essential lessons. I remember a time where because there were 31 proverbs and there are up to 31 days in the calendar, each day I would read that proverb chapter so that I could have that in the contemplation of my mind of how to go through the day. Bible can be thought of as the basic instructions before leaving earth. Basic instructions. Everybody wants to do the advanced thing. They don't get the basics in. How much more wisdom comes from a person that gets the foundation right versus all of the fancy toppings, all of the trimmings and the vaulted ceilings and all of these other extravagant things. When there's no foundation, it has nothing to stand on. It's important to have a leg or two, perhaps, to stand on. Let that be a lesson to anyone that's still watching. Try it. Tomorrow is October 31st. In the morning, open the book of Proverbs and read the 31st chapter. And contemplate that all day. The day after is November 1. Go to Proverbs 1. Read the entire Proverbs chapter 1. Contemplate that all day. And this is very a small asking because you and I know, Brother Eli, we are in the company of people who've dedicated 86 years. Prayer. They won't open their mouth unless they are speaking most high prayer and praise. Imagine the patience of that person to say, I will not open my mouth until I have praises to God, unless I have praises to God. That is something I'm still in awe of. You showing me that, I'm still in awe of that. The prerequisite, by the way, is 6 to 12 years. So this is a person who, as a child, said, no, more than just, I don't feel like playing video games or I don't feel like going outside. No, I'm going to give glory to God. And they said, maybe they said this at 2 years old and they were taken somewhat seriously. It became a sarcasm. And all of a sudden, 2 turns into 5 years old and they're still at it. 5 turns into 10 years old. They're still at it. 10 turns into 14. Their body is maturing. That don't matter. They're still giving glory to God. And now all of a sudden, they're saying that I am going to vow my speech to only have these praises for the rest of my life. Without divorce, without cutaway, without any segue, without any of that. I want to be the bride of Christ, period. That is an immense amount of patience and strength. And I can guarantee you this. Whatever struggle they go through, I can tell you that they'll never go hungry again. They'll never go thirsty again. They'll never be without shelter again. Because they are guaranteed, they're provided in their sacred space because they have dedicated themselves to God. They're granted this as their reward. So we just have to ask, what do we want our reward to be? Do we want our reward to be a brand new car, 3-piece suits? Do we want our reward to be 40 virgins? Do we want our reward to be a multitude of people who will call me as their God, as their higher power? Or do I need just the foundation itself to stay alive and say that as a living sacrifice, I will dedicate this time that I don't have as my own to you? I am still, brother, I am still in amazement that in this day and age, in 2022, that I can read of a person who has dedicated their entire life to the simple life. I'm still learning how to simplify my life. I'm still learning how to take out all the extra things. And I like to think I'm learning fast enough, but I don't want to. I don't want to rush.
You something else, brother Michael. But this is very serious for me. And by the way, I used to like Thundercats. You hit. I was trying to get a pen and paper because you hitting so many marks. It's like because I truly yearn to be the best that I can be, and I'm thinking about this whole conversation on patience, even chewing your food, and how the body. Because I start seeing cows chew their food, and because we got the same type of teeth, and bec- okay. Let me go back to that part, and I will we'll continue. 14. Do not set foot on the path of the wicked, or walk in the way of evil men. Avoid it. Do not travel on it. Turn from it and go on your way. For they cannot sleep till they do evil. They are robbed of slumber till they make someone fall. They eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. The path of righteousness is like the first gleam of dawn, shining even brighter till the full light of day. But the way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. Son, pay attention to what I say. Listen closely to my words. Do not let them out of your sight, but keep them within your heart, for they are life to those who find them, and health to a man's whole body. WHOLE body. So let's go back to that, because I want my existence to be exact like existence itself. So slowing down and just being a flow, chewing my food. And one of the reasons why I like soup, because I didn't have the discipline to chew my food. Because soup kind of help you when you don't have no discipline. Also, it says that in a book that I read all the time, it says conquering ignorance is essential. Nobody is born wise. So when you was a child, you was told wisdom that you couldn't comprehend until you got older. like chewing your food a certain amount of time. There's so much wisdom in the patience. Because again, let's deal with the subject of being born. We have another example of those who were young, they didn't have no wisdom. So let's go into Luke chapter 15, 11, and 32. Jesus continued, there was a man who had two sons. The younger one said to his father, Father, give me my share of the estate. So he divided his property between them. No long after that, the young son got together all he had and set off for a distant country. And there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country. There go that word whole again, WHOLE. And he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out a citizen of that country who set him to his fields to feed pigs. Now he's Jewish. He longed to fill his stomach with the pod that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, no, when he came to his senses or lived a little longer, how many of my father's hired servants had food to spare? And here I am starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father and said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. Boom. He said, I have sinned against heaven, meaning that the place he came from as a soul. So he sinned against his own nature that was created not by him, but was created by God. So he's a complete fool because the human body comes from an existence called God, or a thing that creates, which is God. Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servant, Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. That means he didn't have no shoes on. Bring the fatted calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead. Remember, he sinned against heaven, dead, and now he's alive again. He was lost and is found. So they began to celebrate. Meanwhile, the older son, who was in the field, when he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of his servants and asked him what was going on. Your brother has come, he replied, and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound. The older brother became angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, Look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat. So I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours, who have squandered your property with prostitutes, comes home, you killed the fattened calf for him. My son, the father says, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and he is found. I'm not going to read the full chapter. So I like to go to wisdom beyond my understanding. When we look at the real world, what do we want? And that's why at my age, I always challenge anyone who want to tell me anything. Where is this going to lead me to? Where am I going with this? And if someone have already done it before, are we going to use their method or not? Now, when we think about chewing food, when we think about praying more, when we think about simplifying our lives, like always having a life review when you wake up or reading the 42 laws of Mayat, I will not. I will not. Let's see. That was gone. Of Mayat. Let's see. Each morning. Oh, come on. Okay. Let's see. I will not. I hear you, brother Mike. Looking on the thing, I can't see what you say. So go ahead, say it. Okay, hold on. Oh no,
Yeah,
you're right. Brother.
I was saying I have not.
I have not. Do you have
Yeah,
it?
I have not committed sin.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I have.
Go ahead.
I
Yes, sir.
have not committed sin. I have not committed robbery with violence. I have not stolen. I have not slain men or women. I have not stolen food. I have not swindled offerings. I have not stolen from God, goddess. I have not told lies. It continues. I have not carried away food. I have not cursed. I have not closed my eyes to truth. I have not committed adultery. I have not made anyone cry. Now that's deep. I have not felt sorrow without reason. I have not assaulted anyone. I am not deceitful. I have not stolen anyone's land. I have not been an eavesdropper. I have not falsely accused anyone. I have not been angry without reason. Here again with that reason. I have not seduced anyone's wife. I have not polluted myself. I have not terrorized anyone. I have not disobeyed the law. I have not been exclusively angry. I have not cursed God, goddess. I have not behaved with violence. I have not caused disruption of peace. I have not acted hastily or without thought, rushing. I have not overstepped my boundaries of concern. I have not exaggerated my words when speaking. I have not worked evil. I have not used evil thoughts, words, or deeds. I have not polluted the water. I have not spoken angrily or arrogantly. I have not cursed anyone in thought, words, or deeds. I have not placed myself on a pedestal. I have not stolen what belongs to God, goddess. I have not stolen from or disrespected the deceased. I have not taken food from a child. I have not acted with insolence. I have not destroyed property belonging to God, goddess. The 42 laws of my eye.
Okay, I'm gonna read the morning because and then before you when you get up, you say I will not. And then
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the night,
You say you have not. Yes.
you can only confess what you did not do. Now, this is another part of the positive confessions in modern times because again, people they don't do this every day. And again, there is a way that we can live to be divine because we always wake up thinking of negative stuff. It's just so much stuff that we're not active in. We're not active in our thinking.
Yeah.
We're active in negative thinking, and we allow things in life carry us away. And this is the highest form of illness. The
Hmm.
top form of illness. See, illness comes from the unseen to the seen. It manifests itself.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So the thing about it is to really live a divine life. So I'm about to read something I used to read every day, and I gotta get right back to it because my prayer life is gonna be more, 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 more. And eating, even when I eat, I'm a chew and I'm really going to try because the thing about it, we have to see if this stuff is really if it works and if it's worth anything because we got the evidence of the things that just not is not worthy of nothing and it destroys us. Number one, I honor virtue. I used to know this thing by heart, say the truth. I used to all know
Hmm.
it all by heart. Number one, I honor virtue. I benefit gratitude. I am peaceful. I respect the property of others. I affirm that all life is sacred. I give offering to the genuine. Hold on. Let me scroll down. Come on. All right. Where I left off. I give offerings that are genuine. I live in truth. I regard all altars with respect. I speak with sincerity. I consume only my fair share. I offer words of good intent. I relate in peace. I honor animals with reverence. I can be trusted. I care for the earth. I keep my own counsel. I speak positively to others, of others. I
Hmm.
remain balanced with my emotions. I am truthful in my relationships. I hold purity in high esteem. I spread joy. I do the best I can. I communicate with compassion. I listen to opposing opinions. That's why I say every day. I create harmony. I invoke laughter. I am open to love in various forms. I am forgiving. I am kind. I act respectfully. I am accepting. I follow my inner guidance. I converse with awareness. I do good. I give blessings. I keep the waters pure. I speak with good intent. I praise the goddess and the god. I am humble. I achieve with integrity. I advance through my own abilities and I embrace the all.
Hmm.
So, if we are active in every aspect of our life, even how we floss our teeth, brush our teeth, comb our hair, be responsible for our lives, clip
Yeah.
our toenails, scrub our skin, have positive affirmations, use precise language that is uplifting.
Hmm.
Don't use words that is known that to be damning. Stay in the highest vibrations from the sound of your voice to the sound of your thoughts to your actions and your ways and how you step. Even they talk about mindful walking. Pay attention to how your heel hit the ground and how you walk. Mindful walking, living a mindful life. I think because again, I'm very passionate because this is something that was needed because I'm heading towards a direction and I'm not trying to turn back at all.
That's right.
So all this stuff because most humans have negative thoughts which are negative. And if we look at one of the commandments, it says
Hmm. Hmm.
about the waters, keeping the waters pure. And also, it says, do not disturb the waters of your heart. You see what I'm saying? So, being is a way of life, it's a way that you got to be responsible for.
Hmm.
Responsible for your lungs, responsible for your kidneys, be responsible for your organs, be responsible, massage them, talk to them. I remember people used to say, because a lot of women didn't like their private parts. They said, go talk to your vagina. There's a book about vaginas. So
Hmm.
even the Holy Quran says your body is going to talk against you. So be mindful, not just when you're sick, right? Be
Hmm.
mindful of all things at all times. Be mindful when you drink water. Live a mindful life. I mean, I'm not, Brother Michael, I'm really not talking to nobody but myself. I'm literally talking to myself because I'm listening, but my mouth is moving.
Mhm.
I'm gonna try my best to be my, even how I put on my glasses. Be precise, but be mindful of how I live.
Yeah.
Just be a mindful. What the heck do being mindful mean? You know what I'm saying?
The opposite of autopilot. Everybody wants to do something, you know, like the back of their hand, and they don't have to think. You have to make a conscious effort in thought of everything.
Mindful, conscious, and aware of something.
That's correct.
Focusing one's awareness on the present moment, especially as part of a therapeutic or meditative technique. Now, think
Yes.
about this.
Yes.
Think about mindful meditation, mindful walk, everything mindful,
Yes.
mindful,
Yes.
mindful. Let me see. Let's look at this. Let me look at this real quick. Mindful walking have benefits. Not only are there physical, and you specialize in this, benefits of walking in itself, but mindful walking can reduce blood pressure, heart
Yes.
rate, create
Yes.
feeling of well-being, provide better sleep, improve mood, mind, manage stress. So if you think about this, let's just put this in perspective. Let's say I'm going somewhere, meaning old age.
Mhm.
Now, I want to reduce pain and I want to reduce the damage of aging.
Mhm.
So, if I, number one, know that when you get old, you get stiffer. So, number one, drink a lot of good water and do yoga,
Mhm.
stretch.
Mhm.
That's going to reduce a lot of things that people are dealing with because these are normal ailments because we wear them down. So, here I am. I'm drinking water slowly. I'm tasting it. I'm allowing it to move around in my mouth while I'm eating something. I'm chewing my food, allowing it to circulate through my mouth, circulate properly through my body. When I take some deep, mindful breaths,
Mhm.
I'm breathing properly because being mindful with my breaths. When I'm reading a book, I'm reading mindfully. I'm taking my time to read with intentions. When I
Mhm.
contemplate on the words, you see what I'm saying? You see how you reach into a certain level of perfection
Mhm.
because the benefits of the process of what we're talking about is being whole. WHOLE, whole. Be a complete consciousness. Because when you walking, you be in consciousness of what you feel at your feet. When you're writing, you be in consciousness, everything. Live a mindful life. Don't allow your mind to be free.
Mhm.
Don't allow your taste to don't just eat. Even when you eating a cake, you chew it, enjoy, let it go around and experience, have the whole experience. When you even when you praying, Lexio Divina, praying
Mhm.
with the scriptures.
Mhm.
It means read slowly. And when you feel something, when you read a word or a sentence, pause.
Yes.
Mindfulness. And you know what, brother? Even when you drive, mindful driving.
Mhm.
Even when you put on your shoes and tie your shoes. Actually, I'm hearing monk practice. Because what we're talking about what monks do, mindfulness. When you iron your clothes, pay attention to what you're doing.
Mhm.
This is profound, even though it's not new, but it is profound now
Yeah.
compared to when I used to hear this stuff in pieces when I was younger.
Mhm.
I mean, think about that. When I was clipping my fingernails, I was mindful. When you draw an art, if you live a mindful intent, a life of intention, what's going to happen to you? Because if we practice mindful breathing, if we practice mindful drinking, if we practice mindful eating, if we practice mindful prayer, if we practice mindful combing our hair, if we practice mindfulness when we put our clothes on, if we practice mindfulness when we even go to the bathroom, even when we read and we do, it's have a mindful, even when we cook food, don't put it on high. Be mindful to when the seeds pop or when the salt releases its saltness and stir at a
Mhm.
gentle stir. I mean, just a reason, it's a reason why the planet move at a slow pace and the universe move at a slow pace. All of existence have a nice smooth pace. This is mindful living. And I think I can't prove it yet because I haven't done it. I hope and pray that I can be mindful enough to do more at what I'm speaking about now. So now I'm responding to my thoughts to let you get a process of what
Mhm.
I do. This is
Mhm.
me now responding to what was given to me.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, I didn't say I can do it perfectly. So I hope and pray the little that I can do and will do will show me the benefits of doing it.
Mhm.
Because it's something about it now. Because when we get older, like I can take my time and read each word instead
Mhm.
of trying to run through it. Not all the time, cause I messed up a little bit today, cause I'm reflecting. Now I'm in contemplation, brother. So forgive me.
Mhm.
I'm contemplating because again, mindfulness. Because we get warnings before we get sick. Think about it. Before we get sick, I remember when I was younger, I used to be able to smell it. Not all illnesses, but some illnesses will be a scent, and you can feel it. Like I'm gonna give you an
Mhm.
example. Just because I don't have complete walls, that's me. I'm in nature. I notice when I breathe, when I sleep, and I'm breathing in cold air, that I can feel the sickness coming into me just because I'm breathing in cold air. So what I do is I put the thing on my face and breathe in warm air. Then I don't have because I'm mindful. I don't just
Yeah.
say, "Oh, I feel better because the sun is out." I don't do that. I'm
Right.
mindful. I'm feeling this way. Oh, I'm breathing in cold air because when you sleep, you're not paying attention, but your
Mhm.
body's paying attention.
Yes, it
So
is.
I paid attention to that and stopped that, so I don't have that problem. Since I
Mhm.
was 19, I was inhaling cold water because the monks did it in cold. So I
Mm.
always inhale cold water. So when I feel other spirits and my nose is starting to clog, I start shoving the cold water and feel that burn, and that thing get off of me. And I
Mhm.
love the burn that goes down. It's not a bad burn. I love the burn. I burn it out.
Mhm.
But the thing about it, I'm mindful when I get sensations, and I'm on it just like that.
Mhm.
I'm on the energy of it. Like I was maybe doing something that was taking minerals out my body, and I felt it on my right side. So I automatically visualized warm hands on my right side of my life energy. So I was supplying, like when you watch people do Reiki and they have the camera on them, you'll see the colors, and you'll see one side have more colors than the other side. And then when a person put their hand or their forehead area and they behind them, you start seeing their life force balancing out over the body. Don't have the holes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Reading.
all so I apply all the stuff. I don't just read and talk about it. I apply it with everything. And again, I pay attention to subtle energies, because there's a lot of things that like themselves to us. I call them like little worms. Because when I felt the thing in my back, I visualized about many years ago, like little worms with little jaws, with little teeth, and they
Mhm.
attach and they suck on you. Because remember, things need to eat us too,
Yes.
and they are unseen forces, and they
Mhm.
come to us and they enjoy what we accumulated.
Mhm.
So we got to remember what is around us. So I think mindful living will give us a level of sensitivity to know when to protect ourselves. For example, when I used to sleep outside, my awareness was so keen, I could hear a tiptoeing cat walk, and I'll wake up and look and see the cat. But when I'm inside of a house and there is, this enclosure,
Mm.
a cat can jump on my head and I'll be too asleep. You see what I'm saying? So there's some awarenesses that we lose in this concept of comfort. Like God never told us to create fire, nor God told us to create forks. So now we lost the knowledge of how food grow naturally, and we can eat it live. Because
Mm.
when you grow your own food and you eat it live, it tastes way different when buying it from a store.
Oh
Soon as
man,
you pull it off, it's something that is a life in it. So we've been robbed because of our new knowledge.
yeah, that's right.
Mindful living. Yeah, that's the thing about it. So I'm saying goody two shoes and mindful living. All aspect. When you look in the mirror, pay attention if you got a new gray hair.
Hmm.
Pay attention to your existence. And a perfect example, it was a woman who was encaged in his universe, because you have beings that when you die, they keep us here. They sometimes call them the archons, or sometimes like wolves. You hear them howl and they come and get you to make sure you don't escape. And one of the ways she one of the ways that she escaped this spirit, the spiritual world, is that she remembered everything. And like I was telling the two young gentlemen, when you leave out the house, close your eyes, because you want to get to a point to memorize every aspect as you walk with your eyes open, because
Mm.
it's something about the power of memory. So when she memorized every aspect of the spiritual world, when they came, she knew how to escape, because she gained the knowledge that she needed to escape the howling wolves when you leave your physical body. So living
Mm.
mindfully, like when you write in cursive, when you mindful in your intentions when you write, when you mindful when you cooking your food and putting the ingredients in there, when you mindful when you prepare the food, when you mindful when you take
Mm.
the spoon and you eat the food, and you mindful when you chew the food and you taste the flavors, and you mindful when you feel the food go down, and you mindful when you drink the water, and you mindful when you get up from sitting down, and you
Mm.
mindful when you go watch or go down, sit in the couch, and you mindful when you turn the channels of the TV, and you
Mm.
mindful of the things that you're watching, and you're mindful how you feel when you're watching a TV program, and you're mindful when you turn the TV off, and you're mindful when you stand up, and you're mindful if when you go and take maybe a night shower, because people take their morning and night. So if you take a shower, you what you do is you're mindful, you go to the fingertips of your finger, and you mindful when you wash every aspect of your body, and you send in
Mm.
positive affirmations of cleansing to every part of your body. When you mindful, when you're mindful, when you wash it, brush your teeth, when you walk, you see what I'm saying? So I
Mm.
think mindful living, when you wake up every day and you go to bed, you mandatorily say these affirmations. You don't skip a beat when you say these affirmations. When you're mindful. Go ahead, brother Mike. I'm summing it up. I'm just going over, especially when I start reiterating. Mindful. Mindfulness. The benefits of mindfulness. Are you ready for this? I can't see. Okay. But when I'm on the internet, I got things open up. It says among its theorized benefits are self-control. This is mindfulness, the benefits of mindfulness. Um, I want to look these words up to get more detail. It says theorized benefits are self-control, objectivity, affect tolerance, not effect. Affect tolerance, enhance flexibility, equanimity. So you got equanimity. I don't know what that means. I have a belief what equanimity means. So let me look it up. I know equal is in there, and I heard the word before, but I want to be exact. How did equanimity mindfulness show up? But anyway, equanimity is mental calmness, composure. I never would have got the definition of this. I never thought equanimity mean mental calmness and composure, evenness of temperament, especially in difficult situations. Man, this is crazy. So we got self-control, objectivity, affect tolerance, enhance flexibility, equanimity, improve concentration, mental clarity, emotional intelligence, and the ability to relate to others, oneself with kindness, accepting and This is crazy. What the hell is
Sounds like the undoing of ADHD to me.
brother? Type in mindfulness benefits. I'm about to send you this link so we get the same stuff. This is some. This is this. That's what I'm saying, man. My people are suffering from lack of knowledge, man. This
Yeah.
is just too much, man. This is too much of how to live a godly or a good person's life, to be a complete being, cover all the holes.
Mhm.
This is crazy. So make sure we got the same. I'll send you a link to make sure we have the same things. And I'm gonna go deeper into this. And when I looked up equanimity, I seen that link too. Like I said, I didn't even know that's the definition. I'm thinking, because like I said, that's why you gotta look stuff up,
Yes.
because you'll think something which is not. And I like to be detailed, because when you're a
Mm-hmm.
researcher and you, let's be on a PhD level, you very detailed. God
Mm-hmm.
is in the details.
Mm-hmm.
Just think of that.
Yeah, that's
So, go ahead, brother. I'm a mute. I'm too excited. I'm crazy.
yeah, that is literally everything that the world is saying they're having a problem with now. That's how to solve it. ADHD, attention deficit disorders, bipolar affective disorders, all of these things affecting mood based upon rushing to find solution. And the answer is in taking your time. It's right here in black and white, literally. Um, there's a book called Mindfulness. I have it. I just need to remember the author of that book. Just a moment. I want to pull that up too. Um, yes, that would be Ellen Langer, Ellen J. Langer, Mindfulness. This was a book that I didn't purchase. It was inside of a shelter that I was in at the time, because I was in a place that did not have any televisions or anything like that. All they had were books. It was one of the very first books I read in its completion while there in the shelter. And I was so compelled by that book that I ended up buying one for myself. And I have to admit, even during that time, while homeless inside of the shelter, I don't think I ever had an outburst. I don't think I ever had an argument where I was so driven to anger. I didn't have any altercations, physical or otherwise. And I think the reason why was because I had that state of mind on my mind. Now imagine this. This is a person who is living elsewhere on the streets or inside a shelter that if you did not get home at that time or get to that shelter at that time, you lost your bed. Yet I was calm. How is that possible? Mindfulness did it because every step taken was counted for. If we are to couple mindfulness with what we said a couple of builds ago in regards to worth, how would that make you even slower to anger? If you kept in your mindfulness that your heart is worth 1,050,000 American dollars. Is my heart worth having a heart attack? Driving myself to anger on this statement that is being brought before me. Is it worth it? No, it's not. If you were to think that in your mind while taking the one breath it would take you to have that thought, whenever anything that was opposing you, no matter how loud or vulgar they were, if you were to take the breath, count the breath, and have that thought in your mind, in the time that you will be waiting to get a response from your own body if something was worth it, the person that was angry towards you, they would walk away. Why? Because you did not succeed in giving them the adrenaline rush they needed by fighting fire with your fire, because you would deem them not significant enough to receive that type of a wrath. And if that's not the most godlike way that you can think about yourself, I don't know what is, because if you realize that your wrath had a worth, and that not many things are worth your wrath, and not many things are worth God's wrath that will be manifested through you to them, in the mindfulness of how much harm you could cause, not just that person, but to yourself, because of the negative energy that comes from having to combat such altercation, we'd be more calmer people. It's amazing to even just ponder that. Imagine what that would look like in a real life situation. Someone, for whatever reason, utters a racial slur and spits at you. And instead of you, in immediacy, go to fisticuffs, you paid attention to what was said. You looked down at this blotching of spit that came from this other human being. You took a breath and counted the breath and said, this spit did not mar my clothing that I can't clean out. My organs are still intact. And the $43 million American dollars that is my worth in regards to economical worth is not at all marred. I deem this not worth it. How angry could you make a person who tries to anger you to tell them that they are not worthy? Oh my gosh. Imagine that the next person that tries to cause an altercation with you, you just looked at them, took a deep breath, and gave 5 seconds to which you counted eloquently and just said, you are not worthy. They'd have to contemplate, first off, why you're not addressing them the way that they tried to manipulate you into being. And then they'd have to ask themselves, why am I not worthy? And who's to say that that would not cause them to one day learn to be mindful? Because there's a power in that. That power is more than just a human power. That is divine. To deem worthy. There's a certain test of mindfulness inside the book, Mindfulness. It says to keep a tally of your breaths. Every breath that you take, you count it in a day's time. The second you breathe in, tally it off. Now, what I learned in the time that I did that, even though I did not even last a full day, was that in so doing, I did not have time to be upset about anything that went wrong. I didn't have time to be angry about anyone that did not agree with my thoughts. I was too busy paying attention to time that was borrowed, that I could borrow from, that was given to me, to say, I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning and put a tally mark down in my very first breath. And now, at my 231st, at 9 a.m., of which I took a deep breath, my $1,050,000 heart does not deem that anger worthy. I would much rather take my $1,050,000 heart to be warmed by positive energy than to be engulfed in negative. I always would laugh when you would see people say things like, breathe and count to 10 when dealing with anger. There was a time when I was a very angry man. I took myself to anger management, and that was one of the things they said, breathe and count to 10. I was like, man, I've seen this in television shows. But then when I took it seriously, I understood what they were trying to do. They were trying to have you be mindful of the entirety of your existence in a situation instead of making the situation everything. There's so much more in the bigger picture than to take this one little argument, this one teeny tiny disagreement, and say, this is what I'm going to put my whole energy in. When we are talking about whole energy, sometimes it's a little bit different than how other people are talking about whole. Some people are talking about HOLE, whole energy, something that's just taking something out of them, a chunk that's being erased from them, something being removed, something stolen from them. But when we say WHOLE, when we're talking about that type of whole, that's a fulfilling thing. Mindfulness is a wholesome, a fulfilling thing. And it's something that I am going to, starting today, really, really put into perspective. I'm going to get one of those small little memo pads, and I'm going to start counting my breaths. I'm going to tally them off. Those laws of my art are something else. 10 Commandments is one thing, but that is something about those 42 laws of my art that just adds so much more intricacy in what you are saying. There's power there. Let us take that time that we can't take for granted and have that be a divination of self despite difficulty. That for the next 31 days, we will not allow that to fall. And let's see how much more of that equanimity we can manifest together. I'm excited about that. I'm genuinely excited about that.
Brother, I was looking up, remember mindfulness benefits. Remember that affective tolerance. I had to look that up. It's something within itself. Affective tolerance. Where is it at? What did I do with it? Oh, over here. So it is something specific, affective, affective, affective tolerance can be defined as the ability to respond to a stimulus which would ordinarily be expected to evoke affects by the subjective experiencing of feelings rather than by an apparent non-restriction response or a discharge patterns of responses such as impulsive behavior. I'm a look, if somebody would just have the galls to write every word of the definition of mindfulness, the benefit, well, I put mindfulness benefits. There is a powerful meaning by self-control, a powerful meaning by objectivity, of course, a positive meaning by affective tolerance. Because remember, we hear these words, we think we know what they mean until we look them up, which is totally opposite of what we thought they meant. Enhanced flexibility, equanimity, improved concentration, mental, emotional intelligence. So let's see. But this is just so something. Because again, waking up every day, because I do my 3 o'clock prayer and stuff like that. Because see, the thing about it is you always have the question, well, what do you want? What do you want? And if you really know what you want, do you know how to get there? If not, will you follow those who already did it? Because we have a lot of excuses, but we don't have the integrity of being mindful of our behaviors that benefits to our good or our demise. And we are reflective, not preventative. Because now I remember even listening to things like I grew up, it said that, you haven't had a pie in a while, moderation. Get your moderate. You do things in moderation. But we don't never have the nerve to try to be perfect on every point to get those results. And then maybe after because we know the results of moderation, we know the results of slackfulness, we know the results of when we know the results of when we procrastinate, but we don't truly know results of always being on point, always keeping your word. always being on time for something. Now it's kind of strange because I'm like that on a lot of things. And even when I'm having like high blood pressure when it comes, I gotta be at my appointment because some of us relax, but I get like, oh man, when time is like it really messes my spirit up. So it is biological and mental. But I notice like when someone asks me to do something, and since all through the years I've always done it, for some reason, and no matter what it is, it always unfold for me. Always. And every time I deal with somebody who always take their time to do something, when I get into their aura, things slow down. Like I start getting red lights. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of weird that you literally create what you do. And I'm telling you, I remember years ago, someone said, "Oh, I'm a metaphysical person, and I imagine going to job, and I find me a parking space." I'm serious. That was some flim flam stuff until I started applying it. And I'm telling you, brother Mike, I'm so serious. Like even on my hours now, when I gotta get to my son's piano appointment, and it be a schedule, but for some reason, I always get to the time. It's like, I've been watching it for the past couple weeks. I'm like, well, what is this? So we know what it's like to say, oh man, moderation. We fulfill. Remember, we're here to learn. Well, at least I'm saying I'm here to learn. So we already know what it's like doing things in moderation. We already know what it likes to procrastinate. We already got the answers for those things. But do we have the answers for always keeping what we say we're going to do? We don't, for the most part, because we know how to be perfect on not fulfilling obligations. We master that. We master the art of excuses. But for somehow the universe always keep its word. And maybe that's what life's about. Being. They always told us, don't tell somebody you're going to do something unless you're going to do it. But us, even in Islam, inshallah, if it be the will of God, it's like we're like this beast that want to be human, but we don't have the nerve to be a human. Because I remember you had military fathers years ago used to say, make your bed. And when I was younger, hearing that was annoying because making your bed is like, man, why am I gonna make a bed? Like what does that mean? And even like people talk so bad about boot camp. But when you look at those in boot camp, they physically, I mean, they look ripped, they look boom. But soon they get out, they fat and crazy. They can't even jog a mile, you know. So I'm looking at the benefits of, like you say, your father had that crease in his pants, or you make your bed too. Because again, I have never tried it. I never tried it, but I've tried mopping my floors. Like when I was in an apartment, I swept every week. I swept the walls down, the corners, the edges. I mopped the floors with bleach. I did it every week, and I tested if my space was clean. Like if I woke up and I have no boogers in my nose, then I know my place is clean. But if I have boogers in my nose, I'm in a place that's not clean. So when I done this thing to my space, and I'm telling you, I done it every week, even if it didn't look like it. I took the broom, I took the broom, swept the walls down like I'm sweeping the entire apartment, even the ceilings. I did that. Ceiling fan, all of it every week, and I mopped the entire floor with hot water and bleach, and I swept the carpet, you know, every week. I had no problem on that level of cleanness. And I cannot imagine being on point, like making my bed, not just what I do now, just to slam the covers, make sure they all flat spread across, looking like a crazy cake. Actually making it and just be. be mindful. I mean, even now when I was sitting while you was speaking, I was like, man, I don't want to be mindful. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm honest, because I always talk like this when I'm talking to myself. But the more I talk about it, the challenge I'm having now, the more I talk about it, I feel excited. But when I don't talk about it, like, man, maybe I'll be mindful on one thing and build up on it. You know how we do. We always a piece of when it comes because the universe don't says, well, I'm just gonna take my, be every other day I'm gonna have the sunrise. No, existence is. Existence is. And what is to be like to be is. I mean, I'm not speaking, but you know what I mean. What it feel like to be is because existence is. Is. How are you living? I am that I am. I'm is. Because existence is, period. Nothing after that. It is. So when I wash my shoes, it is. I'm washing is in my shoes. Is. Is. What are you doing today? I am is. What are you doing, Elias, today? I am is. What do you mean by that? Because existence is. Period. There's nothing after that. I am being. I am that I am. I am or Maharu. True a voice. I am. I'm is. I'm is. What do is mean, brother Mike? What's the definition of is? There is a definition. I'm saying it too much. What is the definition of is? It's Latin stuff. Well, come on, what a definition of is? Real definition.
Let's see.
They got all this flam information system. No, is Jack.
Present tense, third person singular of be.
See?
Dialectal, present tense, first person, and third person singular of be.
Okay, so I want to break down every aspect. What is a dialectable present? Break down everything.
Dialectal, present. I'm pulling that up
I
too.
I'm not seeing it. Um so it's dialectical present. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
It is dialectical,
Dialectal.
but it spells something different. It's not this. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Because I copied and pasted. See, it's not the same. Okay. Now, the spelling of it from the Meyer Webster is Dialectal, present. But when
Yeah,
I try to type it in, it says, do you mean Dialectal, present?
right. And
What was
that and that's weird that it's doing that. So I'll just go to dialect. A particular version of a programming. That's what dialect means. So
programming?
dialectal present, I would say the present version of programming. So my present, so to is to be in the is the present version of programming. My present version of programming singular self as being. That's what is. And that program is mindfulness. I'm counting my breaths, I'm counting my steps, I am taking into account my words, all of my actions, all in affirmation, in positive energy. I is. It's almost as if the internet just doesn't expect that humans want to dig this deeply, huh?
Yeah, I mean, this is the be on point because God is in the details, and if you want to be God, yeah, that's weird, brother. Cause how we put dialectical, it's like they dispelled it different, even though we got it from the dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
Why
Mm-hmm.
is the confusion? Why is that? Now remember, it's supposed to be two dictionary, the same dictionary. Why the confusion? What are they doing? Why
So
is that?
something they don't want people to know.
Because I don't.
And let me see the difference between dialectal, if it'll even give me that.
Right.
Dialectal, relating to or constituting a particular form of a dialect of a language. That's dialectal. Now, dialectical is relating to the logical discussion of opinions and ideas, concerned with or acting through opposing forces.
You
That's
gotta read. You gotta
dialect.
read both. You gotta read both of them again. You
Okay.
have to read both of them again.
So, dialectal,
Mm-hmm.
the one that we were looking for truly, is relating to or constituting a particular form or dialect of a language. And then the one that you keep trying to push in our faces is dialectical, which is relating to the logical discussion of ideas and opinions, concerned with or acting through opposing forces. How ironic, because this is actually an opposing force of what we were trying to find in dialectal.
Yes, but
That's
the question is, I'm talking the word is, and it led to
mm-hmm,
two things that exist in the same space, but is in one book on the same page.
mm-hmm,
Because so the universe is to be being.
mm-hmm.
You don't have nothing that is opposing. It doesn't even exist.
Right,
It can be something perceived as imposing, but there to no effect.
right.
Hmm. Is. It's a lot, brother. It's God. I saw, and you know what? And that's why when we deal with a group of people who parents take away all the technology stuff and they have people, little children reading and having debates, that's why they're on top of the world. Because as a Jew, they will say this: if you have two Jews, you're gonna have three opinions. And see, God don't play. God don't have no time for waste and play.
No.
Everything about God is serious to the highest form. even when you have multiple sperm cells that come out. Everything about that is serious business.
Mm-hmm.
Even like, say, for instance, even when you're laughing, what the body needs to do for you to laugh is some serious stuff.
Yes.
All of existence is serious. Vision, how your hair grow. There is nothing foolish or lackadaisical about anything in this present world at all times. You don't ever wake up and says, my eyes need to wake up.
No.
What you do wake up is, if you've been living a certain lifestyle, you will have plaque in your eyes. Because I
Mm,
remember when I was younger, I had plaque, but now I never have the plaque in my eyes. But
that's
see,
right.
the thing about it is, everything is in life is about serious business. You
Mm.
can't name even when up. I'm trying to think of the best clowns work hard at their craft,
Mm-hmm.
and they have clown competition. Clowns. So try to name something and let's see how creation see if it's very serious or not.
Mm.
Try to think of one anything in existence that existence does not take it serious.
Wow. I can't, because now my mind is actually going to the things that easily take the most serious of thought, of process. Man,
Everything, the grass, the dirt,
everything.
stars, I mean, everything.
Mm.
I mean, look how many hours it take to digest food. What, a couple of days.
Depending
Everything.
upon the cuisine, even longer.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, think about it. It takes it serious.
Hmm. Yes, it does.
I mean,
Yes, it does.
I'm okay. Think about this. A gnat is a existing being that can fly, and the wings are lighter than the body. A piece of lint. A piece of lint comes from a plant that took a long time to grow. But we see it as lint because the person that made the pans where the lint formed was a long process. It was a serious process
Yeah.
to even make that pocket.
Mm.
Because a guy tried to make a suit from scratch and he bought silkworms. He made his shirt from scratch. It was a serious process to make a shirt from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about, and see, that's what I mean, brother. I mean, think about it. I mean, look how much we just take stuff as a joke. You
Yeah.
know, we're foolish because if creation does not have the audacity to take anything as a joke, everything serves a purpose. Matter, antimatter, everything is taken seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. And look at all the stuff we just take for granted as a joke.
Hmm.
We are great. This is getting too much because I'm thinking about, because even one of the gentlemen's, I was like, before the sperm hit the egg, I had a particular being. And then the mother had to stop eating meat and all that. It had to be a certain being.
Mm-hmm.
Take it serious.
Mm-hmm.
Then when the sperm hit the egg, the whole no scary movie, no sports, take the process serious. Bake
Mm-hmm.
the bun slowly. Breastfeed. It's like when you are mindful about everything, there are the ultimate benefits. It's like I'm trying to think because I cannot find anything that's a joke. Even when you look at the vocal cords vibrates, everything is taken seriously. Everything is taken seriously. Everything. Even when I was trying to take the wick out today, it was just tearing my fingers apart today. I was like, it's tearing me to shreds today.
Let
Even
the
this
record show, though, he still remained unharmed.
That's right. Even this one, even this, you can hear that.
Hmm.
It's supposed to mimic a fireplace. So the wick is not this kind of wick. The wick is made out of wood and is made of a unique shape to make this fireplace sound. Brother, there's nothing that's a joke here. And I'm really realizing that. Nothing here is a joke. Nothing here is a joke. Nothing here is a joke. And whenever you, what is it called when you, it's called half-ass, right? Whenever
Yeah.
you half-ass anything, you don't get nothing.
No.
Everything, everything is serious. This is serious business. And that's why when we read government, they be because a spy was a double agent that got busted. There are agencies that study agencies and plans within plans. And it's like in order to maintain something, you gotta be serious. Because I was looking at traders and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, really? And black people want to be leaders, and we don't know what it takes to run anything? They don't joke on. Let me tell you something, brother. Let me tell you something. This is how we're not qualified to do anything. We're wastes. Let me tell you something. The Pentagon is shaped like a geometric shape of protection. They don't play. They don't play with God. Remember the laws of nature.
Hmm.
They study the shape. Like when you look at how a bee, the proficiency of the pentagon shape when it comes to protecting something. But we are just built something just to be building it, not paying attention to the craftiness of it. Like when they made the pyramids, he
Hmm.
said that every stone was precise, true north. The people that don't play with life receive the benefits compared to those who half-ass things. You're not going to half-ass your way in its existence and do something of consequence. It's not going to do it. Either you do it or you don't.
Yep.
Woo! This is serious, brother. This is some serious stuff because I'm 50 years old and I'm just learning this stuff. I heard remnants here and there because you always have to question why God I'm not getting this, why God I'm not getting that. You know what I mean? Why
Yeah.
God I'm feeling this? Why God? Well, Negro, are you half-assing your health? Are you half-assing your existence? Or are you taking it seriously?
Yeah.
Are you chewing the proper foods? Are you going and when you cook your food, are you praying and meditate? Are you being mindful with everything that you do? Or you just do it? Are you an autopilot?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the laws and effects are real. Because when you have ass, then the responders, they don't have ass. They're going to get you.
Yes, they are.
Because even viruses and bacteria, they don't have a home. They have to establish a home.
Hmm.
They don't have a home, so they don't got the luxury to have ass.
No.
Think
That's
about that. you are going against beings who God says you don't belong. That means they are on all, they got what they say 10 toes down when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to kicking your behind.
Mm-hmm.
And we up here, all just crazy because existence don't treat us as a joke. Because I guarantee the viruses don't, when they see those white blood cells, it's not a game. Because guess what? In that world, in the body, you don't got no penitentiary. You can take a virus too. You're going to
No,
live or you're going to die, period.
it is
It's a
war.
war, a serious battle. So this world, this existence are for those who are serious compared to those who have as a thing. Because even look at the jet, it took a million line of code to break the sound barrier. You ain't breaking the sound barrier unless you type in at least a million lines of code, Jack. You're not allowed. You can pray about it, pray to Jesus about it, sacrifice a baby. Nature exists, don't give a darn about your half-ass ignorance. Matter of fact, the first flight was 12 seconds. Existence don't have time for your half-assedness. I'm making a word up. You can't be a half-ass and get the benefits of what you think you want.
Yeah.
This is wild because I'm actually speaking to myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because, bro, there was a time that I kept every receipt that I spent. I did it 3 years straight. Every receipt. I had a whole floor full of receipts, and I was proud of myself
Mm.
because I'm learning how to be detailed on everything. Matter of fact, I used to detail every cent that I spent. And now, compared to being around people who don't do that, they only brought me to a lower state of just being just a low life. Because you look up and you got a negative $45 in your account because you overdraft your accounts because you didn't do the math right.
Mm-hmm.
Because just because you spend it don't mean the bank processed it.
That's right.
And you got all kinds of people. Like another test on I took another test on my tax course. I'm merely done. Everybody that deal with money or numbers know if you have as, you're not going to get the same numbers twice. If you're going to deal with numbers, you better have a lifestyle of precision. Otherwise, it's going to move you to do something that you thought you did, but you did not do because you practice not being precise in your aura, in your being.
Mm-hmm.
And science and life don't play when it comes to precision. I can when I had a generic phone, I could not miss one number in order to call you. You can't miss one number in order to call somebody. So I'm thinking about this because life demand perfection. If you're gonna be about it, do it. If you don't, you're gonna suffer.
Yep. That's real.
This is wild, brother. And you know what? I gotta see because I love what I say, but I don't believe me. Just because I don't
Yeah.
believe no more. It sounds good. I was in all. Remember, no nigga, I'm not into that. And then you get the real time action how I'm dealing with myself.
Yeah.
I don't play. So I heard all the good words I said for the half an hour to 10 hours. I don't believe a damn thing of it until I prove it to myself. I'm just full of shit. Just talking. It sounds good, Elias, but we don't believe you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just letting you know how I deal with myself because I really feel good of what I just said, but I'm not. I'm looking around my little bed space. I'm not doing it, so I can't see the benefits because I have asked too much stuff. I half ass. I'm a half aster. So let's see. I need to see. I need to see where it's going to take me. I need to see where it's going to take me because if I'm mindful all the way to the precise, the precision of the atoms of my body, when I clean my body, and will I take my time to get every aspect of myself each time so I can be clean? Like when you're in a lab, you got to wear a full cloak robe because you're not clean enough. Not just on the outside of the body, are you clean enough on the inside of your body? Like I remember I had flatulence, since I'm not going to use the word flatulence, I fart. Like when you fart, I remember when I'm fasting, I can fart, 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 and people don't know I'm doing it because there's no smell to it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Compared to when I eat those Indian herbs. Now, because sometimes, I mean, because I'm an honest person, because God is present. Sometimes you can sit in your own fart and say, okay, I'm cool.
Yeah.
But at times you eat certain foods, you better run. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
better run, boy, because you don't know what you're doing to the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is being honest with life itself, because we can be pure. We can receive the benefits
Yes.
if we live a mindful life, a mindful existence. Do we pay attention to all things, not the things that we like to do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like to cook amazing cakes, but I don't chew them right. I just gobble them down. Like, wait
Mm-hmm.
a minute. I remember growing up, black people in the hood, they love wearing their wife beaters and they used to love cleaning their cars. They used to slap the towel in the atmosphere, spow, look around, slap the towel again, get to the trues and vows and the spokes and all that washing and stuff, and then go around and eat a hamburger from McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
I remember people used to take the tennis shoes and with the toothbrush, make sure the tennis shoes is crystal white and all that kind of stuff with the shoestrings and all that kind of stuff. And then they had stinky socks. They didn't even scrub their feet because they got their toenails are crazy. Because like I said, I'm new with getting my feet clean because I had crazy toenails because I was around kids and play sports and we had athletes' feet. But if you ignore your toenails become crazy. So when the
Mm-hmm.
brother said he got his feet done, I like to have arc in my shoe. It felt good putting on socks because
Yeah.
they got all that dead skin and all that death.
Mm-hmm.
It got rid of all that death. Then your feet can breathe. And the bottom of your feet need to breathe and need to be clean. Because I don't know what it's called. I don't know if it's true or not, but certain organs in your body. I think living a mindful life, everything you do, even excuse me, let me correct myself because I'm out of line. Let me have be mindful in my speech and be mindful with the tone of my voice. Living a completeness of life. Don't just be a raggedy person because I notice when I speak as a raggedy person, my vocal cords hurt. But when I speak mindfully, when I'm paying attention to the tone of my voice and the volume of my voice and how I pronounce my words, when I'm mindful, there's a calmness. I don't have the rigidness in my vocal cords when I'm speaking. So being mindful, see, that's what I'm saying, brother. Existing in the mindful state. Be mindful in everything, even my posture, even how I hold the microphone. Be mindful of all the things that I do. Pay attention to see if my head is tilted too far to the right or to the left. Be mindful of my posture so the blood can circulate through my neck the way it's supposed to. Mindfulness. All right, brother. You let me speak for 1,000 years, and
Everything that was shared was supposed to be shared. It was supposed to be here. And in my mindfulness, in me counting my breaths, in me taking the time with this water, I have enjoyed the wisdom that's been shared. True. All of life is a very serious business. But one of the things that I have found about laughter is it can be shared with people who have had like experiences in relativity to them, no matter how serious life has been for them. And that's how we can smile out loud and laugh at each other because of how real we are to each other. And knowing that we go through life with the same intention about being evidence based. That's a grace that can be allowed in all seriousness. For we have that as an option to deal with the seriousness so that we do not go down into a depression about how serious everything is. We must find people that we can relate to and find creative ways of explaining our relativity, which allows laughter, which allows that type of temporary joy. It's important because there are some who are at that level that we speak of tonight that are alone and feel lonely. In their WHOLE-ness, they still feel HOLES somewhere because they have not found their tribe, their family, their significant other. Their brotherhood. If nothing else has been achieved tonight, let it be put on record that brotherhood has shown its face and it does not play, and it is a very serious business. But in all seriousness, we have found in our relativity of our situation that we can smile aloud, and in our honesty, in our blatancy in this dimension, we can find space to use more than 42 muscles in our body, upon our cheekbones, to raise and chink up our eyes and laugh. The gift in this present, a dialectal present. We are going to close now, but there's one last thing that I want to say before we leave. That all of the things that have been brought to the forefront today in regards to mindfulness, since we are those who will give an appointed time to prove things to be true, let us reconvene in a week of using this mindfulness, of counting our breaths, in paying attention to our water when we drink it, in paying attention to our very breath, in reading the 42 laws of Ma'at, in reading Proverbs, each chapter to the day. And let us see in 7 days how much more might come.
Brother Mike, let
Yes.
me just say this because you used the word 42. Somebody spoke of 42 before. 42. 42, and I will send you the link. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. 42 is a deep thought answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. Deep thought is the functional supercomputer built for that very purpose of the book. So let me go down a little bit. In the case of instant of representing a physical object, the number 42 is the actual answer to the question, what is the meaning of life? In some Spanish-speaking countries, there are a phrase that join 42 as some Spanish word means 42 is the answer to the final question. It says also where 42 appears. I'll speed up a little bit. 42 is a binary code. Binary code represents 10, 10, 10, 10. The particular pattern zeros one appear often in mathematical code, computing code. Okay. 42 in Buddhism and Hinduism. Nirvana, moksha, which is the final goal of life. Around the age of 42, of course, there's no actual. Okay. 42 in Christianity. It says there are also many mentions of the number 42 in the Bible. Book of Revelations, for example, the number 42 associated with the 42 months that the Antichrist will rule of the world. And another instance, 42, the number of generations from Abraham to Jesus. 42 in the angles of the rainbow. It says the angles at which light reflects off water to create a rainbow is 42 degrees. 42 and the speed of light crossing a proton. The physical constant in the universe are the speed of light and the diameter of a proton. It takes light 10 times to the minus 42nd power seconds to cross the diameter of a proton. It's so much, brother, with this 42. But yeah, I just wanted to share that part, brother.
No, that's great because that's a great way to close it because
I'll send you the link.
of course to the binary code of 42. It translates to as you would like it. Life is indeed
The 42 laws of Ma'at. I'm
life is
sorry, I just saw that.
you're good. You're good. You're great. But it translates into as you would like it. Life is what we indeed make it. That's why manifestation is so important. That is why positive energy is important. That is why our posture is important. That is why our intention is important. That is why the way that we articulate our voices is so important. Because it is as we would like. The heaven that we ask of to be on earth will be as we like it. Given the work be done to achieve what we like. For some, heaven is a place that they'll go to when all of this is done. For those who know better, Heaven is now. But it is for both people as they would like it. Let us take the time from here to next Sunday to contemplate in all seriousness, in all mindfulness, not just what it is that we want, but how would the heaven on earth we proclaim to earn and guarantee would be how we would like it. Many blessings for all who have been with us tonight. There's been so many different revelations that were found here, and I am grateful for them all. Glory be to God.
Glory be to God. 42.
42.
We know what a smile mean now. It
42
is
muscles.
and it is. Matter of fact, they got an ancient Egyptian statue that he have a light smile like this.
Correct. That's correct.
42 muscles. That's amazing, brother.
Mhm.